Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today, on Celebration Saturday, I feature a project using Celebration goodies. So these are free things that you can get when you purchase products from any of our current catalogues, from the clearance rack, anything from Stampin' Up! At all. For every £45 you can choose a level 1 item, and if you spend £90 you can choose between either 2 level 1 items or 1 level 2 item, and that's what I'm working with today, which is the Friendly Hello. And this is a stamp set and DSP combination. So you've got this lovely stamp set, these fabulous birds that actually coordinate with a stamp set in our main catalogue, the Art in Bloom stamp set, and this lovely paper here as well. It's 12 by 12 paper. You get a pack of 12 sheets, so 2 each of the 6 designs, and lovely soft pretty colours, as you can see. On the one side you've got the lovely images, and on the reverse you've got smaller, more generic sort of general use ones. The different thing about this paper though is that it is designed to be stamped on, so you can see the sort of some of these have got the large pattern, but this one, for example, fits with this flower here, so you would stamp over on that. These leaves you could stamp over, and again this little sprig here you could, this little one here would fit in here, so that just gives it an extra layer of sort of dimension. And you can see the effect here, that's already prepared, but you can do what you want. And super colours: fresh freesia, granny apple green, petal pink, pool party, and it says shaded spruce, which is sort of this really dark green here. So you've got a real sort of lovely mix of colours. Lovely useful stamp set because you've got hope you have the best birthday, love and support, lovely stamps, and this is what I thought we'd make today. Do like a fun fold, and this is a pull-out fun fold which I saw at qbsquest.com. So as you can see, open it up, and what I've done, you've got a flap here, so it looks like a standard card, but you open it up. So again, you know me, I like a card that has a little bit different, so you still get to see an element when the card is open. And it's really nice and flat. I've stamped on the DSP here, and then on the inside I've used our Stitch with Whimsy dies to add a little bit of detail, and just stamped in the corner there with some petal pink. I've coloured this one using sponge daubers. I thought I'd mix it up and perhaps coloured the image using our blender pens for this one. Really, actually, a very straightforward card to use, using our stitched rectangles to cut those apertures, and a couple of tips on how you can do that. So, yeah, Stitch with Whimsy. These are the dies here. You can see you've got kind of card front sized ones, and then lovely accent rectangles for sentiments, and then these super squares as well here, along with our stitched rectangles, which are just such a useful, you've got 13 different dies there of all different sizes, and these are the ones that I use, which are kind of like these middle sort of 3. So, 3, 4 and 5 in terms of what I number them. I number from smallest being 1, and then these are number 3, 4 and 5. So those are the ones I'm going to be using. So as I've done this one in very sort of pretty soft pinks and crumb cake and petal pink, I thought I'd go a little bit stronger with a bit of Night of Navy and some Pool Party. So I have got some elements already cut out. You're going to need a card base, which is 14.5 by 21, which you're going to score at 10.5. And I haven't used thick basic white. I've just used the standard basic white for this because we're going to be cutting through some layers. Then we're going to have an insert, that's 14 by 20. Then we're going to add some DSP. Now for the front there, as you can see, if I were to die cut through that, that's a lot of layers to go through, because you've got DSP, card and basic white. So what I recommend you do is you gut the card. So that means that you pop it in your trimmer, as I've done here. So your card is 14 what is it? It's 14 by 10, and just line it up at the 1 centimetre mark and cut, or ½ inch, cut from half 1 centimetre down to 1 centimetre above, and just do that on all 4 sides, giving you this narrow frame. This piece we're then going to use for die cutting, so that's going to be used for our middle one. So we can just pop that through straight away, and that gives you a good use. There we go. So that can put to one side, and then our DSP is, we just want to cut that so it's ½ centimetre smaller. So you're going to just pop that in and cut that at 9.5 by 13.5. We're going to add that to our frame, and obviously I'm just putting a really narrow little bit all the way around there. Like so. Leave that to dry for just a few moments. But you'll see then where we're going to die cut is going to be inside, so we're just going to cut through the DSP and the layer for the front half. So this is the front of our card. This is going to go on the front. So again, just a narrow bit of adhesive around the outside edge of this. Okay. Add that to the front of our card. And this DSP is lovely because it hasn't got a sort of you can actually orient it in all sorts of ways because the birds are in all sorts of directions. And then we're going to use our larger number 5 die and just centre that. Now, I would recommend that this is where you're going to add a little bit of tape just to make sure that's in the right place. So just pop a bit of either a piece of post-it, or I use the post-it note tape to hold that in place. And when you pop that on your plates, you're going to actually overlap it off the edge, hang it off the edge. I'll show you what I mean. So when you take your base plate, you want this here to be on the edge. What you don't want to do is get marks on that. So you're going to pop it through the die cutting machine. I've actually got a large one, so mine's going to go in this orientation, but put it in the orientation. But basically you want this fold on the edge so that you get a nice die cut without impacting on that reverse piece there. So we'll pop that through, and that's why I say you just need to make sure you use a bit of post-it note to die cut that, hold it in place. So you'll see here when it comes out, it will just about cut through those double layers. And if it hasn't, then just pop it through again with a shim, and a shim is an extra bit of cardstock. And say you can get metal plates and all sorts of things, but an extra one going through, because normally I would put it through at an angle. So if you had you would put it through kind of at an angle, because that then cuts the layers much better. But obviously being a card front, that's a little more difficult to do, again because we want to get that layer just perfect on the front there. So I'm just running that through again with a shim. So hopefully, not very exciting for you, I know, but it is important I do it in real time. So we get a much better die cut. So we can just lift that out. The last little bit. A little bit here that hasn't quite cut through. So I'm actually just going to run my scissors down there. There we go. Okay, and obviously this layer has got the lovely stitched effect on it as well, so you can use it for all sorts of other projects as well. So that's just an extra Brucey bonus. Okay, so there we've got our card front. And so with this one I didn't need to stamp on it because it had already got that effect on it. So now we want to create the insert. So we need a piece of card 14 by 10 centimetres. Even 14 by 20 centimetres even. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? So let's just trim that to 20. I have worked this out in inches. I've popped those on my blog and in the links below. And you're just going to score this in half at 10 and then again at 15. So the piece of card would be 5 5/8 by 8 inches, and you're going to score at 4 and 6. So just reinforce those score lines. Again, you're always going along with where the score line is. And then if you ever get any little sort of furry bits, you can run your bone folder along and that will help remove that raised edge. Just take a little sanding block and run those along there as well, or better still, clean your trimmer and replace the blade, which is what I need to do on mine, but I've been saying that for several days. Okay, so now you've got this piece that's like a little zigzag. So this quite simply is going to go on the back of our card. So we're just going to add a bit of glue there and centre that on the back. Okay, just as you would a normal layer. Okay, so we're then going to add our centre panel. So as you can see on this one, I want to put the adhesive just on the right hand side of this, and I tend to keep it a little bit sort of skimpy on the right side, so keeping it closed, just layer that in. Now if you wanted to try and get it more exact, you could. I find that if you try and get the exact, it tends to kind of foul and it makes it a bit more difficult, whereas I find doing it this way you just get a lovely effect. So now we can do some stamping for our inner panel while that's drying. These are photopolymer stamps, so I would recommend that you use a Stampin' Pierce mat on that. So this is going to be 13.5 by 9.5, and this is our panel just to go on the inside here. So what you want to do is grab your images, and again we can use this large one here, which will just fit just about, it fits just about on our H block. So I'm going to grab, I'm actually going to go for a soft colour on the inside, so I'm going to grab my Pool Party and just ink that up. Top and bottom, and then you can just add some of these other accent little sprays to the corner as well, and then pop it through with one of the Stitch with Whimsy dies, just to add a little bit of extra interest to that. And again, it's a really, you know, it's just a nice way to add something a little bit different to the inside of your card. And because they're not an exact match, you've actually got a little bit of sort of play on where you position those. So you end up just with this really pretty stitched effect as well. So that's going to go onto the inside there. And just okay. And now what we want to do is create our panel for the very front of the card. So all you need to do is grab yourself some basic white and take our smallest one of our shapes and die cut a nice stitched rectangle as well. So as I say, it doesn't take, you know, an awful lot of card. I'm just going to, I thought I'd already got one I'd die cut, but maybe not. Who knows? Perhaps not. So as I say, on this particular one, on my original sample, I used sponge daubers, which is not quite so precise. It gives a kind of sketchy feel, which works quite well with something like this. But what you might want to do is to do something a little bit more accurate, a little less sketchy. So with these, as you can see, just to peel those back, just pop it out. I tend to work from a corner, like so. And then using my Stampin' Pierce mat, I'm going to add my birds. And I rather like this sort of solid flower, so I'm going to, leaf rather, so I'm going to add that in the centre. And then add my centre. And this is probably the trickiest bit, just getting this lined up. Because it is just about the right width. So I'm standing up and looking through. Oh, just about did that one. And then to colour it, if you're going to use your blender pens, just add a bit of ink to a block, as I've done here. And then you can just come in and colour around. And rather like our blends, we just use a little bit of a sort of slightly circular motion. On this, and then for the other, I'm using the other end on Pool Party. Just got a bit on a block here. And the blender pen will actually pick up a bit of that Night of Navy and blend it. So you get a sort of slightly variegated finish. And that's what you get obviously when you're using a blender pen and you've stamped in one of our standard colours. And then you can just add a bit of Pool Party around our little bird. And say, obviously, if you wanted to stamp in memento and colour with our blends, you could do. I'm just going to add a little Pool Party around the outside of our image on this one. It's very pale, but it just adds a little bit of definition. So now all that remains to do is just finish off our card by adding this, and I'm going to add it on a couple of dimensionals just to give a little bit more lift to that centre image. I've noticed I've got a couple of really nice fingerprints on that, so I shall do something about that in a moment. Just using the last little bits on my sheet of dimensionals. So take the Stampin' Pierce mat away, take these backings off, add this to the centre of our panel. As I said, as you can see, Klutz here has put some opportunities for embellishment in place. So I'm going to just grab some of these lovely new rhinestones, and not least of all because they're quite big. So I'm actually going to have a look, and we're going to pop a couple of those on here. So I'm going to add one onto the card to cover up that mess I made, and then I'm going to add just a couple around here, and add another. I'll probably add another one on the front there. So there we have our fun pull-out fun fold using our Friendly Hello Celebration stamp set in either Petal Pink and Crumb Cake or Pool Party and Night of Navy. So thanks for watching. If you want to get these free items, just pop along to my Stampin' Up shop, add £90 worth of goods to your shopping basket, and you can add these for free. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me soon. Bye now.